I'm Steven Zarate, and this is my story. All right, um, I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. I didn't get to be there as long because my family was only there for 6 months, and then we took off to Nebraska just because my dad was jumping from job to jobs. And we live in a small town called Brunswick, Nebraska. The population is only like, I think it's 80 people. Even today, it's still 80 people. And we lived in a small trailer. I remember it was like in the middle of like nowhere, but it was outside of a turkey farm because that's where my dad worked. And at the time, my mom was a firm believer. I kind of grew up in a Christian home in a way, but it was more of split. My father just was walking his own ways, but my mom wasn't. She always pushed us to go to church every Sunday, and so we did. We ended up going to school in Plainview Elementary for I don't know about 5 6 years. We were there, and I have my older brother and my older sister, and I have a younger sister, and we just kind of grew up going to church, just because we thought we were just going to church is just a normal thing, and then our lives took a dramatic turn. When I was 7 years old, I think my brother was diagnosed with epilepsy, and that took that took a really big hit in our family. And my mom was wondering like, "Oh, why, Lord? Like, why my son?" And then it was at that point my dad kind of made a turning point. Like, okay, God, like, what's going on? Like, I want answers. And soon a year after that, he started believing in the Lord, and he committed his life to Christ. And years after that, just going to school and going to church, just living a normal kid life, we ended up moving to Tennessee because my parents felt like they were being called to being missionaries in a town called Greenville, Tennessee. And when we first moved there, we got there with no money. My dad had no job, so it was really tough. Just making that transition for our siblings, I could see it in my mom's eyes, and just it was really tough for us. And we were just like jumping from house to house, trying to figure out where we're going to be living. And my dad was doing the same thing, and it was hard for him to get a job as well. And me, I was just living a normal kid life. And I went to middle school in Greenville, started going to junior high, and for 4 years, just kind of, going through the motions, just having fun as a kid. And but for my parents, it was hard because there was a struggle to bring income into our family. And at the time, I was just a kid. I didn't know. I thought we were just living life. And my parents decided to make the return back to Nebraska, and we came back to Norfolk, Nebraska, and we're like, you know what? Let's settle in Norfolk. It seems like it's a good place to stay. So I was like, all right, let's go. And so we went, and I started going to Norfolk Junior High for school, and my dad was still struggling to find a job, so we were very low income. And then I think this was for the first few months when we came back. There were times where we were homeless, and we didn't have a place to stay. And at the time, we had a conversion van. I remember it was white, and the conversion vans are the coolest things. But we would every day, like we would live it out in a park, and we didn't know what was next for us. And as a kid, I didn't really know. So I just, like I said, I just kept living life with my brothers and sisters. And then sooner or later, high school came, and I went to school at Norfolk High, and I started watching over my brother, just because I know my brother was bullied in a way, just because of his condition, and I had to be there for him. And so my sisters were there for me as well, and my older sister and my younger sister. But we continued to struggle, trying to just to bring money into the family, just because we didn't know what else to do. It was really hard for my dad and my mom, and we were wondering, like, Lord, like, why is this happening to us? I don't understand. We're following you. We're believers in you. I don't understand why good people like us deserve this. And at the time, I started just thinking like, Lord, all right, you know what? If you're not going to be there for us, I just might as well go my own way. So I kind of did in high school, and I started becoming the person that I shouldn't have been, which was a people pleaser. And I just wanted to do everything that I can to be accepted in the group of friends that I had. So I started doing what they were doing, just stuff that normal, typical high schoolers would do. Just be bullies to other people and just be like, oh, I'm cool. Like, I want to be, be with this group. And so I wanted to be friends with everyone. And I kind of lost track of myself all through high school. And it was, to look back at that, it's just, there are regrets that I've done and not proud of. But at the time in, let's see, junior high, and my brother was having a hard time making friends, so I didn't really help him as much, as sad as to say. But being a younger brother and seeing where my brother was standing and my sisters and stuff, like, I had to be there for him. So I started doing everything I can to help out my family and my brothers and stuff. But even then, I still knew that I was trying to be the people pleaser. So I just kept doing what I was doing, being that really good people pleaser and just trying to fit in. And high school was almost over for me. 3 years go by in Norfolk, and senior year hit, and I was invited to this youth group called Fuel. And they're like, hey, there's a youth event in Lincoln called CIY. Would you like to come? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, should I go? And they're like, oh, no, it's fine. Just come. Like, just come. Somebody will pay for it. And I was like, oh, okay. Free. Why not? Let's go. So we went. I was like, oh, this can't be bad. It's going to be super fun. So we went. It was a large group of high schoolers, and we all went to CIY. And I remember the first night I went, there was a band there, and they were playing like these amazing songs, and we were all so pumped. And I was just like, oh, this is so cool. It's such a great atmosphere. There were so many high schoolers and so many people that I could meet and just get to know. And we were just having fun, just walking around and just going to service. And I didn't really like go to look for God. I just kind of went because some of my buddies were going and it was free. But then there was the last night. I remember that the speaker had said this verse. It was Isaiah 41:10, I think, and it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And that stuck with me the entire night. And in my thought, I had told myself, like, what does that truly mean? Like, what the heck? Like, why? Like, what does it mean? I don't know why it was sticking in the back of my head throughout that entire night. And I remember walking out of the middle of the sermon, and I had walked outside of the doors that goes into the auditorium in Lincoln, and I started I started bawling. I started crying. I was like, Lord, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel so empty and so lost? And why does this verse keep coming up to my head? And I remember the youth pastor came up to me, and he's like, hey, are you okay? And then I told him, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not okay. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life. I don't know where I'm going. High school's almost over. I've lived my life pleasing people to fit in, and I told him, like, I don't know, like, I don't know what to do anymore. And I told him this verse keeps coming back to my head. It's like, fear not, for I am with you. Like, how can he tell me that when all this has happened in my family? And if he was there with me, why doesn't he take me out of this mess that I'm in? And I remember my youth pastor's like, Stephen, be patient with the Lord, for he is always with you and he loves you. And I told him, oh gosh, Marshall, I can't appreciate how much I love this moment. Just to have that reassurance that God is always with me. And I told him, like, hey, I want to recommit my life to the Lord, because I had committed my life to God from the very beginning, just because I grew up in a Christian home. But I committed my life to God that night, and I was like, Lord, that's it. I'm going to get to know you more. I'm going to do good things, and I'm going to keep pursuing you. And you have the wheel. You got it. Here we go. it's just me and you. Come on, we're going to take out in life together. And so high school's over, and I was like, oh, college, here it goes, even better. So I decided to go to Wayne State, just because at the time I was going, I got a scholarship for music or something. I don't remember. And I remember the first month I got there, I didn't have very many friends. I only knew a few people from high school that went to Wayne State with me. And there was this one night where I was coming back from running or exercising, and it was in front of Barry Hall, just from the top of the hill. And as soon as I just started walking down, I got to the door to open into my dorm. I hear this person yell out my name. He's like, Steve. And I'm like, what the heck? And it was dark. And I look back and I see these two guys running down the hill. And they're like, Steve, wait up. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll wait. So I waited, and these two guys, Jacob Oswald and Alan Lopez, walk up to me and like, wait, you're not Steve? And I'm like, no, I'm Steve. I'm Steven, but not Steve, I guess. Like, and then right away, Alan's like, bro, you have to come with me. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then Jacob Oswald, I think he was eating something. I don't know. He was just tagging along. But I walk in with them, and then Alan's like, Steve, come out. You got to meet this person. And I can hear Steve just yell like, oh, okay, just wait. And I walk into the first floor because I lived in the third floor, right behind Alan. And then out walks Steve Sarmiento. And as soon as I see Steve, we just kind of look at each other and have like a 5-second pause. And we're like, hey. And he's like, hey. And I was like, oh, I'm Steven. I'm Steve. So it was like really weird. And then everybody started coming out. And like, guys, you got to meet this guy. Out comes Parker Anderson, Jordan Anderson, Dustin Langenberg, Levi Loper, all these guys. And I was just like, what in the world is going on? And then he's like, does he not look like Steve? And I was like, oh, okay, I see how it is. Okay, like, okay. And like, hey, come talk to us. We want to talk to you. And then we started talking, and they told me about Crew. And I was just like, what is Crew? And I was like, oh, it's a college ministry here that we're in, and it's an amazing college ministry here, and we'd like for you to come. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll come. So I went, and there were so many college students at Crew, and I was so amazed how many attended, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Because before I went to college, I had prayed like, Lord, like, I need somebody to guide me. I need someone to help me pursue you more. I need someone to disciple me, so I can get to know you more, God. Like, I can't do this on my own. And when I went to Crew, I met all these great people, and all these amazing guys that, like a Steve, and Levi and Parker and all those other guys and Jacob. And they were such encouraging men. And I just started going to Crew, and me and Steve started talking, and soon he asked me if I could help out with worship. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I love doing worship. I love leading worship with him. So I did, but I still felt this emptiness inside me of like, where are you, Lord? Where are you? And it was later that year we had went to a conference called DCC at the time. So I was like, all right, this sounds like a fun other conference. Let's go. So we did, and we all went, had such a great time, loved it. And again, the last night, that same speaker said the same verse when I was at CIY the year before, Isaiah 41, for do not be afraid, for I am with you. And it blew me away, and I was like, whoa, this is like, what's going on? This is really weird. And it was that night, Steve come up to me like, hey, are you okay? And be like, dude, like, I'm gonna be honest, I still feel this emptiness inside, and I really need someone to pray for me, to help me. And so he prayed, and we prayed, and at that night I knew that the word did not make that 18-inch journey from here to here. I knew everything about God, and I knew what it was to live a Christian life, but I didn't truly believe it. And it was that night in Denver when I told myself, like, I have to really, really dive into God's word. I really, really have to devote my life to Jesus. Not just because I know it and it's the knowledge, but I truly have to give my heart to the Lord. And just trust in him and trust in the process. And because it never made that 18-inch journey. So I told God, all right, I'm going to do this again. I give my heart to you, and I'm going to give it all to you. And later that week, I told myself, like, all right, let's do this. And I started going to Crew the next few years, and with an amazing, encouraging people, and they started helping me and started learning more about the Word and having Bible study with a group of guys, and it was such an incredible journey. And I remember hearing the story of Barabbas, and it was at a Crew night, and I was just like, who the heck is Barabbas? Like, that's just out of order, like out of nowhere. And when Jesus was about to be crucified, before he was crucified and taken, there's this tradition that the Jews had where they would release someone on a holy day, and it was between Jesus and Barabbas. And then Pilate had told the people, like, who do you want? Who do you want to be set free? Do you want Barabbas or Jesus? And the people chose Barabbas, this man, this murderer, this thief, this rebellious person, this awful person that you could think of, that you can never imagine. They wanted him to be released instead of Jesus. And I was just like, man, when I look at this story, I think of myself as Barabbas. A man is where we've sinned and we don't belong in heaven because we sin on a daily. We're not perfect. And yet Jesus loved us so much, he took our place. And he loved us so much. And Barabbas wasn't set free because of the people. He was set free because of the love of God. Because Jesus loved him. And I look at myself when they said to Jesus, we want Jesus to be crucified. When they drug Jesus out to the hill to be crucified, I could see myself being Barabbas and taking these chains off and looking back at Jesus, and Jesus looking back at me. It's like, go, son, go. Live your life, for I'm taking your sin. Go. And I would yell out to Jesus, Jesus, no, I deserve this. I deserve death. I deserve depression. I deserve everything. Like, I don't belong to be free. I don't deserve this. And Jesus, no, I will take your place anytime, anywhere. Go and live your life. Live your life for me. And I'm just so blown away by this man named Jesus who loves us so much. He gave his life for us so that we can have eternal life. Because I had to make that 18-inch journey from here to here. This is the story of how Jesus has changed my life. Has he changed yours?